All right, everybody. How's everyone doing? Okay, here is the video tutorial. I did my class this morning. Unfortunately, it froze up, so I had to reboot, and it cut off my recording, and it didn't get recorded. So I'm sorry, I'm doing this again for you girls and guys. I just have to redo it, that's all. So I'm sorry you didn't get to see it live. We didn't have too many people, so I know a lot of people were busy, and so everyone's sort of expecting the recording to be there, and I'm sorry, I have to do this again. So this is the mini that I'm going to work on. I've just recently come back from the UK, and one of the things that my son loved the best about the UK was all the castles. So I thought I would make a mini for my girlfriend that I went to visit. Put some of our photographs into the mini, and it's going to be that size. My pages will be the shape of this castle, and they will all line up together, and I'm pretty excited about putting it together for her. She's going to love it. The area in this space will be big enough to put a photo mat, and here I'll put my journaling. I'll stamp a journaling tag here. And so today I'm going to show you a few basic things. One of the things that I want to show you is how to fit to page. I also want to share with you what I know about chipboard on my Cricut machine. I have in the past tried using thick chipboard with the deep cut blade, and I've not found one. It didn't work for me, so I actually took it back to Michael's. I bought the deep cut blade, and I bought some heavy medium chipboard that they sold in a package. I thought, I was like, perfect, I'll be ready to do this, no problem. It wouldn't cut properly. It kept dragging my blade across, and it wasn't doing it properly. I was worried I was going to ruin my machine, so I stopped completely, and I took it back. So the cardstock that I use is about the thickness of the card that comes inside a pair of pantyhose. My mother used to get pantyhose, and a card would come about this size in the package, and her pantyhose would be wrapped around it. I can remember it quite well, but I don't use pantyhose. So that is what I refer to as the thickness that it should be. Now, I've been doing some research online, and I found that if it's the thickness of a credit card, that is the thickness you want your cardstock to be. It will go through with a regular blade on your Cricut machine if it is the same thickness as a credit card. Okay? The only downfall to this whole system is that your credit card is way too close to my computer, and I end up spending money on my credit card because it's sitting right there. So I think I might have to switch over to a different credit card that is not useful anymore, the one that's kind of been thrown away. Anyways, that is the concept. If it's thin enough that it's the same thickness as your credit card, it is good enough to go through your Cricut machine. And I'm not taking responsibility, but it works on my machine. I don't use a deep cut blade. I use my regular blade, and I keep it on its heaviest, like its deepest setting, the 6. And I go fairly slow. I don't go fast, but I go medium. I don't go slow, and I don't go fast. Okay, so that is the chipboard I use. I actually get this from an X-ray clinic. I have a friend who works at the X-ray clinic, and this is the cardstock that comes between all the X-rays. So it's what I have been able to find, and I'm recycling, and I'm happy to be taking it off their hands, and I recycle it and keep it all in a big box. So let's start by showing you fit to page. Now I have to move my camera, so close your eyes. And ta-da! There's my Cricut machine. Okay, so what I want to show you on the fit to page is that you want your paper put in the opposite corner. Not where the blade starts. You want it in the opposite corner. And what you're going to do is load your mat and move your blade using these buttons. You move your blade to the top corner of your paper. Okay, so this corner of your paper. There. Then you're going to put your fit to page. Alright, and when you do that, the image that I'm using is my castle image, and it is the basic shape of my castle. So I'm going to hit the castle image, and the image will come up. Okay, so that's my castle image. What I need to do is hit the cut button. It will tell me exactly how big it's going to cut it on a piece of paper this size. If your paper was smaller, it would start in that corner and it would tell you how big it was going to be for whatever piece of paper you have. If you're using a 12 by 12, it's going to cut it huge. If you use half of this paper, or if you turn your paper the other way, which is one of the mistakes I made earlier, if you turn the paper the other direction, the highest it can do is the height of this paper. So I wanted my castle a little bit bigger, so I turned the page the other way. Okay? So what you'll do is you'll hit the cut button, and it will say that it can cut it at a certain size. And the size that it can fit to this page is 10.5. And it will start cutting at 10.5. The only thing I want to tell you is have a notepad next to your Cricut and write down 10.5, because you will have to change your dial size to 10.5 so that you cut them all out at the same size. All your layers that you're using. If you're not using layers, it doesn't make any difference. Or if you're going to do fit to, yes, you don't want to do fit to page for each layer, because it will cut the next layer too big. Okay, so this is our castle image, and this is our basic page image. So this is just the paper that we'll be using to cover our chipboard. Cardboard, whatever you want to call that, because I guess it's not technically chipboard. Okay, so now I'm going to take a sheet of my chipboard. Cardboard. Now this time, where are we? I'm going to take off the fit to page. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in like you would put any other sheet of paper in. Okay, I'm going to put it in this corner in the start, because we already know that it's going to fit a 10.5 size. This sheet is bigger than the one that I was using, the 11.5 by 8, or 8.5 by 11, sorry. So I know it's bigger, I know it'll fit, but you do have to remember to take the fit to page button off. Otherwise, it will think you're putting in a 12 by 12 piece of paper. Okay, so secure that down, and then I will load my mat, and I'm going to, now this is where I'm going to show you how to use multi-cut. Multi-cut, if you haven't set up or used multi-cut before, what will happen is you will hit multi-cut. Now, nowhere on here does it say how many times it's going to cut. I thought you'd just hit plus, plus, plus. Doesn't work that way. You have to go into settings. So you hit multi-cut, you go into settings, it'll ask you what language. Okay, I want English, so I'll leave it where it is. It wants it in English. Sorry, it wants it in inches. I'm good with inches. So on we go to the next thing. The multi-cut that I want for this chipboard that I use is 3 times. It almost does it in 2, but I find that there's a few little spots that I have to trim with scissors. So just to alleviate having to do anything with scissors, 3 cuts, it's done. It's perfect. So I leave mine on 3. If I was using a different chipboard, which I very rarely do because I can't find that it cuts. Or if it was a little thinner, then I would do it for 2, but I don't think I need to do that. So then to get out of this, now that you've set it at 3, you just hit the setting buttons again. It'll go back to your basic page. Okay, so multi-cut is on. I want it to cut my castle, just the basic shape of my castle, and the cartridge that I'm using is Wrap It Up. And this is my little castle. Oops, sorry. There's my castle. And this is the image that I'm doing, the orange one. Okay. So, now I've got my castle there, and it's set. On this dial, it is set at 10.5, which is exactly what the Fit to Page told us we could fit on an 11 by 8.5 sheet of paper. Okay? And now I'm going to cut this, and it's going to cut it 3 times, so it's going to take a few minutes. So. I don't know if you can hear me over top of this. Some of the questions that I was asked were, how do I make my mat sticky again? And I'm well known for my mats being used over and over and over. And this mat that I have, as you can see, it's rather ratty. I have had this one going since November of the year before last. And what I use on it is Zig 2-way sticky glue. I don't wash it off. I get all the little bits of paper off of it. Scrape it all so that there's nothing on it that I can get off. Anything I can get off, I get off. And then I put a thin layer of this glue on and I leave it sit for overnight, basically. And I use it again, and I can use it over and over and over. When it starts to give me problems, that's the only time that I go to a new mat, because the trauma of using a new mat bothers me more than anything else. So I have ruined more pieces of paper with a brand new mat because it's so sticky that it's hard to get your paper off. Okay, now look at how easy that came off. It just pulls right off the paper. So it cuts really well with 3 cuts on that thickness of paper. Okay, so that will be the inside of one of my pages. Now I did do the layers, and when I was working with, I ended up leaving this one out because I didn't feel I needed it. It served no purpose. I mean, it would have been more layers, but it looks fine without it. I did do a light gray for this one, as you can see. Okay, so I did a light gray for this part here and the 2 turrets. And then this one here I did in black. Now it looks the same size when you're looking at it here. It looks like that one's actually bigger than that one, and it's not. It kind of scared me at first. I thought, uh-oh, now I've gone and sized the wrong one. But I can cut that out of half of a page of 8.5 by 11. So it worked out really well because I can get 2 pieces out of that, which I don't really need to do, but if you were making more than one. Okay, so that one I cut out of black. I don't need to do it for the inside pages because those are all going to just be 2 different colors, one on one side and one on the other. But you can see how I've layered all my cardstock. Okay, the other thing that I did was I put the front piece up on pop dots. So the black layer and the gray layer, I actually have cut another sheet of chipboard out of the black layer. And that way it's stiff enough to use as a front page. If I had just done it with paper, it might get caught and fall apart. So I've done that with chipboard as well. So I have 2 layers of chipboard on the front page. Okay, so that's basically what I did for the front page of this. So I'm just going to cut out one more page in a light gray so that I can, oh, that was the other thing. If you're using a paper that is patterned, which you might just do, you may want to decorate it with a patterned piece of paper. If you do, what you have to remember is that it's going to be backwards on one side. I'm just using plain paper, cardstock, so it doesn't matter. I can use either side to stick on my project. If I need the negative side, the other side's the same color, so it makes no difference. But if I were using my machine, rather than trying to flip it and do it a different direction, what I sometimes do is just put my pattern paper face down, right? And it'll cut it out in the opposite image, so when you turn it around, it will fit on your page at the back side. It's just a trick. You can go through the process of flipping it. I haven't done it myself, so I don't know. I normally use my gypsy. So I'm trying to explain how you could do it in a pinch if you just wanted to flip it over, put the pattern side down, and then cut it out just using your same repeat last. Okay? So I'm going to cut this one out, this piece of paper, in the same image, but I don't need multi-cut anymore because it's just a thin cardstock. So I'm going to repeat last, and that'll bring up my castle image with the flag on it. I'm going to load my paper, and I'm going to cut it. Now, the only difference that I did do, and I used my Cricut to save paper, not because, I mean, I don't have a ton of red paper, but I just didn't want to cut out the entire thing just for the flag. And in this image, you have the front part of the castle, the turrets, and the flag, and so it would end up being gray. And this is the flag I got from that image, right? But I just wanted a red flag to put on the top. So I used my gypsy because I can hide this image and this image and this image and just have the flag. And so I'm only cutting out a 2 by 1 inch square piece of paper as opposed to a whole sheet of paper to cut out things that I don't need. So there isn't a way to hide it when you're using the Cricut Direct, but if you use Cricut Craft Room or if you use the Gypsy, then you can do those kind of things. And so I wanted to explain that to you, but I wasn't going to show it to you because if you wanted to, you could do it out of gray and then color it dark blue if you wanted to, if you didn't want to use the whole paper. So I'm just saying there are alternatives, and I do use them. I use tricks all the time. Like if I had a gray flag like this, I would easily color that in a dark purple or in something that would go on gray with my Copic pens or with a felt pen or anything. And then I put it directly on there. So there's ways of doing it so you don't have to use a whole page, but that is my trick. Alright, so this one is going to be flipped over. It's going to be on the back page of my Castle Mini. The other thing I was going to do on my Mini is I don't really need the flag to go all the way through every page, so I'm probably going to cut off the flag on the Minis just because I don't feel that I need the flag floating on every page. It's just one more thing that could break off or get tatty. So I am going to put this together. So I'm going to move my camera back. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm going to move my camera. Well, I already have 2 cameras set up, so I can't very well set up a 3rd camera. So 2 cameras is my max. I don't want to do any more than that. Whoops. My clamp. It works. All goes well. Okay, so here's what we've got. I'm going to put one on the back side. Okay, and I'm going to put that image together. And then I've got one for the front page of the page. So these are going to be my These are going to be my pages within, but like I said, I don't want the flag. So what I'm going to do is actually cut off the flag. I'll cut off the whole point because even these little points, I don't feel they're necessary in the mini. They're not going to add anything to the mini. So I'm going to cut off anything that's kind of extra. And I will just snip those off. Because I don't want them there. I told everyone that when I've got the mini all put together, I will post it on the pantry so that everybody can see the finished mini with photographs in it and everything. Wow, me actually finishing a mini. But this is to go to my girlfriend, so I have to finish it. Okay, so I've taken off all the extras that I don't feel that I need. And that is my page for my mini. And I'll glue it together. And then what I will end up using is a ring. I'll put a ring somewhere on this side, probably here because it'll turn best. Yeah, oh, maybe it'll even go in that corner. I could put it in that corner, it would work good. And that'll be my pages. I think it looks cute. I'm going to put a matte piece of paper with a mat, and I'm going to put a picture here, and I'm going to put my journaling spot over here or up here. I'll figure out how I'm going to do it eventually. And then I've got like a page on either side. I can put pictures on this side and I can put journaling on that side. So that is my mini, and I'm glad you got to come, and I'm glad I got to do another video. I caught it in enough time. Now my live classes, I actually gave away a nice little package. It's my mind's eye, and so I just thought if you were there for the live performance or class or whatever you want to call it, sorry, I was a dancer, so I call it performance. That's funny. I haven't done that for a while. Okay, so it was a chipboard letters. It was the Mind's Eye Lost and Found pad of paper. It's double-sided. It's really cute paper, and it came with some Stella Rose. It matches this pad really, really well. It came with bits and pieces, and it came with some buttons. So this is what one girl got to win because she signed in and was there for the class. And so I'm glad you got to see the recording, and maybe next time you'll come back for the live. I'll try and do it. I'll vary the times so that people can get there. Some people are sleeping at the time that I did it. Some people it's dinner time. Some people it's bright early in the morning. So we will do our best to try and have classes when we can to suit everybody. Keep practicing with your Cricut. You will love your Cricut once you start using it lots more. Make mistakes. That's the best way to learn. Just use a piece of scratch paper to start with. You don't have to use your expensive paper to do the first cut. But together we'll figure it all out for you. Okay? Have a great day. Thanks for coming. Bye.